You're about to enter the world of Strawberry Ice and the Ice Cave. Let's go! What's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trenopole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the Cincinnati Bengals Rattler, Ken Riley. Put him in the Hall of Fame. That is happening. Well, not that part's not happening tomorrow, but the Jungle to the Hall is happening tomorrow. I am so excited. I can't wait to get the hell out of here and head up there, but I'm not heading up there until like 5 o'clock in the morning. But it's going to be fun. Now, this show. All right, actually, if you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that thumbs up. I'm up to 1,135 subscribers. That is awesome. I appreciate every single one of you guys. And as always, we're doing super chats. So if you'd like to support what I'm doing, it's on the YouTube channel. You can go there. You can make a donation to support what I'm doing, to support the show. And I'll pop your comment up as fast as I can. Now, this show and every show is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. Like I said, guys, tomorrow, Jungle to the Hall. If you have not registered, register. If you don't register, I don't care. Just get up there. We need every Bengal fan we could possibly get to be up there. It's going to be so much fun. I know Bengal Gyms are heading up there. Willie Anderson's already heading up there. Tony the Tiger's heading up there. Trust me, I've seen all their videos, and I'm like, man, I want to go, but I stayed here to do the show. So enjoy it with you guys. And who's helping me out today? Since Jeremy D will not be able to be on the show, and he's very, very sorry because he loves coming on the show when this man is on the show because we always have so much fun. He is none other than, from the Orange and Black Insider Podcast, Anthony Cosenza. Anthony, what's going on, brother?
What's going on? I like the intro. Bummed we're missing Jeremy today, but good to see you, man. How's it going?
Good, man. Good. I'm just fired up. I'm like I said, I'm ready to go. I think it's gonna be so much fun going up to the Jungle to the Hall. I know Jimmy's got a lot of special guests, special videos, all kinds of stuff up there, and I think it's gonna be so much fun. I know you can't go there because you're in California. That's a little bit of a far drive.
Yeah, I'm jealous. It's, ever since he told me about it, I'm like, man, this is just the coolest thing. And I don't know, man. This fan base just continues to surprise me in the best of ways. You know, just the stuff that everybody's doing, and you have a daily show that's killing it, and Jim's doing this thing. He's a dad, and it's his birthday, and he's like spearheading this thing, with the band. It's just kind of like, damn, dude, these people just they're so passionate about the team, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm crazy enough. I actually pushed my vacation back a day because my wife and daughter are already in Florida. So they're and the entire family is going to one of my favorite bars down there tonight. So if they're watching the show, you guys suck.
We're in Florida.
Down in St. Pete, Tampa Bay area.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'll be heading down there Sunday. It's okay. I'm flying out late Sunday. I'm gonna hang out on Father's Day with my own dad, and then I'll head down there and I'll have some fun down there. It's gonna be cool. But I just think this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for Bengals fans. When is this ever going to happen again? It's never happened. We never had a rally. We never have had really anything other than Anthony Munoz going to the Hall of Fame. That's it.
It's the whole thing just makes you take a step back. And I know we're very close to it because of being fans of the team, and people accuse us of looking at it through orange and black colored lenses and the whole thing. I understand all of that. But when you actually take a step back and you look at a lot of these players that are being that we're pushing, the fans are pushing to be enshrined in the Hall of Fame, the resumes stack up pretty well against a lot of other guys in the Hall of Fame that are already in the Hall of Fame. There's a guy we had on our show. He only played for the Bengals for like 1 or 2 seasons, but when I asked him to be on the show, initially I'm like, hey, we got a Hall of Famer on the show. He's not in the Hall of Fame. His name's Richmond Webb. I don't know if you remember him.
Yeah, I remember
the fact that guy is not in the Hall of Fame is a travesty. And that's not just saying it because, he played for the Bengals at the end of his career, but he was like the best tackle or one of the best tackles in the league in the 1990s, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was just the guy. And there are glaring omissions like this, including a lot of the guys on the Bengals that, everybody's marching for this weekend. And, not all of them are going to get in, but there are solid arguments for every single one of the guys that we're waving the flag for this weekend.
Well, let's just take Isaac Curtis.
Mm-hmm.
We don't mention him that much, but if you put his numbers up to Drew Pearson,
right?
If he played for the Cowboys, he'd be getting in. The only reason he's not in is because he's played for the Bengals, in my opinion.
That's exactly right. I'm trying to look up a tweet I put out right around when Drew Pearson was inducted. I'll have to try and find it. But at any rate, I said something on Twitter around the time that the inductions were announced, and Drew Pearson was a very good football player as well.
Yeah.
But you stack up the statistics, it's like a mirror image, man. It's and so you just go, okay, well, the Cowboys factor and their size of the fan base and all of that, the mystique of that franchise, and then of course just the Super Bowl wins. But again, there was another article put out by Football Outsiders, a website I largely respect, but they just basically trounced all over what this weekend's about and what and it was like, dude, what? I couldn't even fathom that someone who pays attention to football and uses analytics and data and all of that, like Football Outsiders does at a high level, just looks at this and goes, basically nobody that they're talking about is worthy of the Hall of Fame. That just blew my mind. Essentially was what that article said.
Yeah. I know Bengals Twitter fought back.
Right.
They came after him because I'm like, well, one, they said it's not going to amount to anything. I'm like, well, how do you know that? And did you look at this? Let's just look at Ken Riley. And I always bring his up. He's 5th still all-time interceptions. Everybody above him and the guys below him are in the Hall of Fame. How is that not worthy of being in just for that stat alone? If everybody else is in there, I'm trying to find it. I got the graphic on. I'm trying to find it. Where is it?
It's there you go, right there. Yeah. Perfect. That's perfect. A lot of those guys deserve to be. You're talking about the guys at 1 through 4, and obviously 6 through 8. I think number 9 was a guy who got in some legal trouble, if I'm not mistaken. But all, those guys basically all 1 through 8, and you can make an argument for number 10 as well. All those guys are Hall of Fame worthy type of players. And, you look at the longevity, you look at the consistency, and the thing is they go, well, 1 Pro Bowl, right?
That's the biggest.
But we all know the Pro Bowl is just a popularity contest, right?
Well,
it's just not even
another reason he didn't get it because he had Lamar Parrish
Right.
who is another guy who could be in the Hall of Fame. That's
Yep.
that. I mean, they probably weren't going to take two cornerbacks from the same team, so Lamar Parrish got to go to him more than Ken did. Which, it is what it is. But I think that had a lot to do with why he didn't go to those. And it's. I mean, let's go with Ken Anderson. Yeah, Ken Anderson, and he is an NFL MVP. He went to a Super Bowl. There's a guy. I think he played for the Chargers. He was a quarterback. And I think Ken Anderson beat him in the Freezer Bowl. And I think he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm trying to remember what his name is. But yeah, if you look at their stats, they're the same.
Right.
And Ken Anderson went to a Super Bowl.
And Dan Fouts, who also is everybody's favorite announcer.
Yeah.
Not
so much.
And Fouts is a West Coast guy, not only for college and for pro. So I watched it. I watched a bit of him I was a little guy, but watched a bit of him, and obviously just grew up knowing a lot about him based on where he played and where I live. But look, I mean, Ken Anderson. You also have to look at what these guys did. I mean, even if they're not the top statistical guy or didn't make X amount of Pro Bowls or whatever, you also have to look at the contributions to the game in terms of innovation. Mm-hmm. And you look at what Ken Anderson and the style of offense that they ran. You talked about Isaac Curtis and the type of wide receiver that he was, that really wasn't that. There weren't Isaac Curtises before Isaac Curtis. I mean, it wasn't. That wasn't the type of wide receiver that was in the league, and the deep downfield passing, the long bombs, that sort of thing. I mean, and then you look at Parrish is a guy that was doing stuff. He was kind of doing, I know our buddy Jeff Hobson at Bengals.com, he calls him Deion Sanders before Deion Sanders, right? I mean, because he did all the special team stuff, and then he was also electric as a defender. So, I mean, these are guys you also have to look at, not only the numbers, maybe not the team success and all of that sort of thing, but you also have to really look at kind of the innovations that they brought to the game in terms of their style of play.
Exactly. And it wasn't like the Bengals were terrible throughout the 70s.
No.
They had some good seasons. And I mean, if they had a playoff format like they do now, they would have made the playoffs a couple of times. But I think back then, because we had the wild card, then you had to win your division. And we had this team called the Squealers that was unfortunately pretty good. So I hate to admit that, but they were. So and they kept us from going to the playoffs and trying to get to that Super Bowl. So, I mean, that's another thing you have to take into consideration is the numbers that Ken Anderson and Isaac Curtis and Lamar Parrish and Ken Riley, all these numbers, if you put them in this age, this type of game they play now, I think would be even higher.
I agree. And we're not even talking about some of the offensive linemen that we're pounding the table for as well. I mean, you look at, I saw our friend Joe Goodberry put out some really, really great pieces of data on Willie Anderson and his time in the NFL in terms of where he ranked and what guys were nominated to the Pro Bowl, and they were all left tackles and all that kind of thing. Willie Anderson was, a dominant player. And unfortunately, he played on a team that for about half of his career was miserable. And the other half was pretty damn good. But once Marvin Lewis got there and they got some recognition, and we're not even talking about Max Montoya. Right. Max Montoya was just a stud, an absolute stud. And if you're going to put in guys like Alan Faneca, Hutchinson, these interior offensive linemen, these guards that were very good players as well, Max Montoya is in that same exact class of interior offensive linemen. Same guy. And I know I've talked to Anthony Munoz, and I know that Anthony Munoz, he's very confident, obviously, in who he was as a football player. Right. But I know that he knows that Max Montoya was a huge, huge critical part of that 1980s run where the team had a lot of different successes. He credits Max Montoya as one of the guys that was just a major contributor to that.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually, and I actually kind of point the downfall to the Bengals that ran into the 90s was with the Max Montoya leaving. Back then, they had Plan B free agents. That was the only thing they had.
That was fleecing of a team, is what that was. Yeah,
right. So he left and went to it was the Los Angeles Raiders at the time, and I think it was after our playoff year. I think in 90 or 91, I can't remember, but like right after that. That's when we just went straight downhill, and it was the whole decade of the 90s. And it started with letting Max Montoya go. So to me, I'm not saying if they would have kept him, we wouldn't have went through the 90s, but that offensive line went downhill. He left not too long after that. Anthony Munoz retired, but that just goes to show you how much he meant, I think, to that offensive line, how good he was. And it is a shame. And he's a guard, and I think that has something to do with it. But it's a shame of how much he doesn't get talked about, of how good of a player Max was.
I agree. And it's almost like the powers that be or the national media or whatever. Well, we got Anthony Munoz in. It's fine.
Right.
There's no one else there worthy of it. And it's like, no, there was another guy who made like 5 or 6 Pro Bowl. He was like incredible.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Again, it's not, I think realistically speaking, not every single one of these guys that we're pounding the table for can or will be enshrined in the Hall of Fame, but there are legitimate arguments for each, and at least some of them deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. And hopefully a combination of factors, this thing this weekend, the rally that Bengal Jim and friends are putting on, and then of course the Bengals unveiling their Ring of Honor, and other things are going to start bringing notoriety to these players, long overdue notoriety. And I said this before too, Jeff. When you create a Ring of Honor, it's not only for your fans, it's not only for as you go into the stadium as a fan to say, oh yeah, you harken back to their days. It's also kind of for away fans to go, oh yeah,
exactly.
Oh yeah, Boomer. Oh yeah, Max Montoya. Oh yeah. And sometimes some of these stadiums create these little wings that are of their stadium that people can kind of walk through and learn about some of their past greats. I don't know that that's exactly what the Bengals are fully planning with this Ring of Honor, and if that's part of it or not, but I that's kind of a way for away fans that aren't very well versed in maybe the Bengals, that they can get accustomed, or I guess learn about some of these guys and say, wow, that guy made 6 Pro Bowls. This guy, it's just kind of like, and I don't know. I go back to that article that I was talking about from Football Outsiders, and I'm probably babbling. I apologize, but I go back to
I babble all the time. I do it for Alan.
I go back to that Football Outsiders article, man, and I read. It's like the complete dismissal of Chad Johnson was ridiculous. And I understand he doesn't have quite the numbers of a TO or whatever, but for 5-6 years, man, he was top 3, top 5 wide receiver in the league. And he was a guy that defenses had to game plan for specifically.
Exactly. And that let's get back to with the article and with the Ring of Honor. I do think that the Bengals not having a Ring of Honor for so many years has been a detriment to their players getting into the Hall of Fame, and a detriment, I think, to the aura or the outside thinking that this is such a horrible franchise. It's been terrible forever. I mean, they think the 90s it was the last year, and it's not. I mean, yes, last year wasn't a very good year, but if Joe Burrow doesn't get hurt, I think we go 8-8. But that's beside the point, and that's where I think is, if Bengal fans, and like I said, I always tell us on my show, you can vote for whoever you want. But if you're a true Bengal fan and you think these guys should be in the Hall of Fame, then Ken Riley and Ken Anderson should be the first 2 guys in the Ring of Honor. Because I'm like, if we want them in the Hall of Fame and we're not going to put them in a Ring of Honor, that's where I think that's got to go hand in hand as far as backing up what we're saying as a fan base, to back these guys up for the Hall of Fame.
Hard to disagree. That those would probably be my 2 votes there as well. I mean, there are a lot of we mentioned all these other names. It's like, oh man, how do you leave out Willie?
Right.
Oh man,
Willie's next. I mean, if there was 3 of them, it'd be Willie. Willie would be the next one for sure.
Right. But I mean, that's probably where I think a lot of people are saying that's the way you got to go in terms of the Ring of Honor and who should be in first.
It's just because unfortunately, Ken Riley has passed away. And Ken Anderson, like Bengal Jim has said, is the oldest living member of the 81 Super Bowl team. So we don't want the same thing to happen that Ken Riley happened to Ken Anderson. So, Willie, they all 3 of them need to be in, but it's probably all going to be one at a time. Hopefully hopefully Ken Anderson, Ken Riley get in this coming season. That would be awesome. And then next we got to work on getting Willie in, but it's nothing against Willie. It's just of how long it's been since Ken Anderson and Ken Riley have been retired and haven't gotten the notoriety that they deserve.
There's multiple facets to this in terms of like what the Bengals need to do and are currently doing in terms of helping themselves and their players out to get the necessary credit in terms of Hall of Fame. And I think you're starting to see quite a lot of that. And it sounds like Elizabeth Blackburn is the one that's kind of spearheading a lot of this stuff in terms of, let's up our social media game. Let's push this Ring of Honor. Let's do the new uniforms. Let's get out kind of this franchise, for better or worse. The perception has always been we're very reclusive. Where, you know, the Mike Brown and company, they're not like Jerry Jones or Arthur Blank, where they're patrolling the sidelines during games and all this kind of stuff.
They're not fan friendly or anything
like
that.
Right.
Yeah.
They just kind of kept everybody at an arm's length. Reportedly, some other owners as well, but now it seems they're kind of changing that entire type of thing. And I mean, they're kind of playing a little bit of politics with it, I think. And unfortunately, that's kind of what may be a piece of the puzzle that needs to be done in terms of getting their name out there, being a little bit more friendly with the media, doing these things to kind of up their visibility out there a little bit. So I credit Elizabeth Blackburn, the entire Brown family in general, for really kind of, it may be late, but they seem to have recognized some of the things that are going on and say, you know what, this isn't right. And unfortunately, Jeff, it seems as if the omission of Ken Riley in that memoriam thing at the NFL honors deal around Super Bowl, that I think kind of shook everybody in that organization and said, this is not right.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Like, how are you not mentioning him or recognizing him at all? Now, John's got a question here, and I'm going to see if you can read it. He said, did you see the tweet from something about Willie?
O.C. Umenyiora. So he was the other really good defensive end.
I know that guy.
Okay. I did not see the tweet, though. I did not see the tweet. Me
and reading don't get along so well sometimes.
I didn't see it, so I'd have to. Hopefully, it was something complimentary. I did not see that though.
I have not seen it either. So, John, if you can, clarify what the tweet was, that would help us out a lot. So,
yeah, do homework for us, John.
Yeah, please. I mean, do my job for me, which I need all the help I can get on here. I mean, I have to. I'm on here carrying Jeremy, so that my shoulders are sore from that anyway. Just kidding, Jeremy. But John, Anthony. See, I knew I was going to do that. And I do that every time my Ace and Zim is here. I call one of them Zim, the other one Anthony. Now, are you born and raised in California?
I am.
So, how did you become a Bengals fan, let alone a podcaster, let alone a writer for Cincy Jungle? How did this happen? I've been wanting to ask you this for a while.
So I have an older brother, and he's 8 years older than me, and he got into the Bengals around the time he was about 8, 7 or 8, when the first time they made the Super Bowl. With Ken Anderson in 81. And then at that point too, they had a player, we mentioned his name. His first name was Anthony on the team. And my dad's a big USC guy. So Anthony Munoz is one of his all-time favorite players. And I was a little guy, but I remember watching that 88 Super Bowl, and that's kind of what hooked me in a little bit. Watched the whole deal, and then I mean, I trudged through the 90s as the first part of my fandom. I mean, that was just like, oh my god!
And you're still a fan. God love you.
Yeah, and then it really kind of kicked into another gear with Marvin Lewis and whatnot. And then around 2011, it was this volunteer opportunity came up at Cincy Jungle, and I was kind of doing some commenting on there, and I was like, this site's kind of cool. They seem to not only write their own stuff, but they do relay news from other outlets, and it's kind of a catch-all site a little bit. And so I liked what they were doing, and there was this writing opportunity, and so I took advantage of that, and then kind of parlayed it into a more of a a fuller, I guess, responsibility. And there was actually an early podcast. I don't know if you can still find it out there somewhere. There was an early podcast with myself, one of the then site managers, Jason Garrison, and a very young Joe Goodberry. We did a podcast thing a long time ago when we were first kind of starting out there. And then I latched on a little bit later with, I don't know if you know him, Nick Suberling and Mickey Menzer, Who Dey fans. They did a podcast. It was Who Dey Weekly, and then Inside the Jungle. We did that for a few years. And then Nick transitioned. He's doing something called Cincy Soccer Talk. So with FC Cincinnati, and that's doing really well for him. So he's kind of focusing on that side of things. And I just said, I wanted to keep going with it. And then I created this show, and we've been running with it since. So just kind of keeping at it.
Yeah, I know. I enjoyed it. I found you guys, I don't know, a couple years ago. I don't remember when I found you, because honestly, back in 2011, we actually had local sports talk around here, and we don't really anymore. We got like 2 shows. So I started, like everybody else, finding
Who's
podcasts.
it, Mo and Lance? Are those the 2?
Yeah. That's well. We got Mo and Lance, and I got 3. You got Mo and Lance, and then you got Tony Pike on for like 2 hours. He's on since he's 360. He's on from 12 to 2, I think. Yeah. And then for some reason they jump back into ESPN programming for an hour, and then they go to Mo. I don't know why, but back then they used to have their whole, like, it was 1530 was all local sports, and I loved it. It was awesome. So that kind of went by the wayside, and so I started finding podcasts and stuff, and I kind of decided to do it myself, because I actually was on the radio way back in the 90s. Way back.
Oh, were you?
Yep, 1994. I was on for a summer. I was
nice.
I was a sports guy on 100.9 The Wiz here, so it was
nice.
wild. That's how I got the name Strawberry Ice. I'm a
you got the good voice for it, man.
well, thank you very much. Appreciate you. So we got a question here from Mike Kyle. Let me bring this up for you. He said, "Hey Anthony, do you know how Trey is doing? We have another guy for Adeniji. What's Zach's plans for getting older?" I think he means Trey Hopkins. And do we have another guy to replace Adeniji? I think what he means.
Hopkins is doing surprisingly well, from what I understand. He is rehabbing well. He's doing some rehabs now. He's not fully practicing or anything, but this is a guy who hurt his knee with a significant knee injury at the very last game of the season.
Yep.
And I said, he's, I don't know what he weighs, but he's probably 300-ish, right?
Yeah.
And I think your dog liked what I was saying, by the way.
Yeah. That's Buddy Houday. He was seconding you.
Yeah, there you go. But I kind of said, offensive lineman, knee injury. This is late in the season. This may take a while, but he's showing like a lot of progress. He's doing a lot of rehab work, and it sounds like he's on pace to potentially start the season, but not sure. We'll see what happens there. And in terms of the options for the Adeniji injury, the Bengals have not done anything yet in terms of a move, but I think my guess is they'll probably grab someone. How high of a level, I don't know. I think they want a guy that does what Adeniji brought them in terms of giving him guard tackle flexibility. Yep. So I don't know how many guys are out there like that. They may wait till final cuts or some other things going on in training camp. Or maybe there's an injured guy out there that they're waiting to get, they're waiting to see that he gets better. I don't know. We kicked around. We had a listener questions episode earlier this Friday, and
I missed that.
We kicked around.
I was sleeping.
Oh, there you go. We kicked around some names. I think, there are some kind of tackle names that are out there. Mitchell Schwartz, Russell Okung, those kind of players, but they're up there in age. Who knows how much more they can give you? What do you do with Riley Reif at that point? Because those are kind of more true tackles. So, there are some options. I think they're going to wait and kind of see what happens, especially post June 1 cuts that kind of have started, and or some of the stuff in the preseason.
Well, I think too is they also my opinion is I think they want to get somebody who isn't coming in here and going to be upset if they're not a starter, because like you said, they're not going to move Riley Reif. They want somebody to basically replace Adeniji, a backup, which he was in the mix for guard. So he was in the mix for that. So a guy who could be a backup, maybe compete for guard, but also can play tackle. So that's what they're waiting on. And that, I know Morgan Moses was a lot of people wanted to go get, but I think he wanted to start, so I don't think he'd be happy coming here and not being a starter. And I know everybody keeps saying, well, you can just kick Riley Reef in the guard. Well, Reef has never actually played guard. That's per Jake Liscow, at least not in the NFL. So it's not as easy as everybody thinks it is. I mean, nothing against Fred Johnson, but Fred Johnson should never play guard again. In my opinion, he should just be a tackle when he comes into play. So just because you play tackle doesn't mean you can kick in and play guard really that easily. So like you said, I think they're going to wait and see what happens, see who is out there, and more trying to get a backup guy. And I don't think they're going to sign him for any more than a year. As well, I mean, I can't see them sign him for multi-years. Can you?
No. I think if anything, there would be, unless it's another kind of developmental guy that they get their hands on. Maybe again after kind of some cuts, maybe it was a late round pick over the last couple of years, and he ends up being available. I don't know who this person is that I'm referencing necessarily, but exactly. Maybe they're available. That ends up being available somehow during training camp or after preseason, and they're able to get their hands on him. But otherwise, I think it would be a veteran rental deal type of thing.
All right, John actually did type out the Twitter from who was the Twitter? I keep want to say Joseph Osai. Wasn't him. It was
O.C. Umenyiora.
Thank you, O.C. Umenyiora. I know who he is. I just got you got too many. I get too many names mixed up in my head. I'm just trying to say too many things. Anyway, per O.C. in my 12 years I played in the NFL, there were 3 times I walked off the field knowing I got my ass kicked. Once was Orlando Pace. Second was by Walter Jones, and Willie Anderson was the third. He said, and he continued, Hall of Famer in my book. So that's, I can't disagree with any of that. Willie Anderson is a Hall of Famer, and I think he gets kind of slighted because he's a right tackle and not a left tackle. I think that has a lot to do with it too. If he's a left tackle, I might be.
Well, he also played in the era with the other 2 names that OC mentioned. Right. I mean,
yes.
So, and Walter Jones was incredible. Mm-hmm. Orlando Pace was incredible, but Willie Anderson was incredible too. He just wasn't a number 2 overall pick or anything like that. And he wasn't, on a team that had a lot of success, and he was a right tackle. That's what it was. But OC Umenyiora, that actually carries quite a bit of weight with me, because OC was a freaking great player. He was a really, really good. I know he had help with Strahan on the other side, but
still, he was hard to handle. Yeah, he was hard to handle himself. And like I said, Willie Anderson, he got drafted in '96. So from '96 till when Marvin got here in '03, that's a long time to be on a crappy team and to come to work every single game, every single day, and play your best, and to be honestly the best player on your team for 90% of the time. For that, I mean, to me, right there, it should be Hall of Fame worthy.
Well, let's not also forget that Corey Dillon had 2 record-breaking single game rushing performances. I'd like to go back and watch and see how many of them were to the right side, but you have to know that Willie Anderson was a huge part of those 2 incredible games. So I mean, that in itself is another feather in the cap that should be there on the resume for Willie Anderson to get in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly. Which actually that reminds me of something. You had Lindsay Patterson on your show earlier this week, and I had her on as well.
She's awesome.
Oh, she's great. I love her. And she was talking about the Corey Dillon game where he against Denver, where he set the record, and that was her very first game that she went to with her dad, and that's a pretty darn good game to go to for your first Bengals game you've ever went to. Like, that'd make me a fan.
Yeah. Going back just a little bit, I don't want to make it about me, but just going back a second about you asked me how I became a fan, all that stuff. I actually never made it out to Cincinnati until 2004.
Oh, really?
And I think that was the game against, I think it was a Baltimore game where the Bengals only scored 6 or 7 points or something. And remember Nate Webster? Now lives in infamy, but he got hurt that game. He was their big linebacker signing that year. He got hurt. He hurt his knee and he was done. And then the year after, I went to the Minnesota game, the game against Minnesota when Culpepper was still playing, and the Bengals beat him, God, I don't know, by 5 or 6 touchdowns or something. But those were actually, for as long as I've been a fan, I didn't make it out until the mid 2000s to the city. And I love the city. I was there a couple of years ago. I think it was 2016 was the last time I was there. So hoping to get out there this year for a game.
Yeah, I mean it's awesome now. I mean, especially down at the banks down there now. They got all the bars and restaurants in between both stadiums. It's so much fun to go down there to a game because you can make an all day event of it now. Before, when I was a kid, I mean, we had Riverfront Stadium and there wasn't a whole lot around there. You know, it was, you just go to the game and you go home. But I'll just tell you about my fandom. It started.
Yes, please do.
Born and raised, so I mean, I was kind of born into it. But when I really started liking them was the 81 season. That's when they had the new stripes, striped helmets, and my uncle was a season ticket holder, so he legitly went to the Freezer Bowl, and I wish to God he would have kept the ticket stubs. That would be so awesome. I asked him a couple weeks ago if he had them. He goes, no. I'm like, oh man, that'd be so cool if he still had them.
Wow.
But he went up to the Super Bowl that year, and I might have the hat still. It might be in my closet somewhere, but he bought me a Bengal striped hat. From the Super Bowl. So so that was cool. So that started me down the Bengals path. And then it brings me to the 88. So like the 81, I'm 7, 6, somewhere around there years old. So I mean, I was watching it, I'm playing with my friends. I'm still watching, but yeah, go Bengals, But 88, I'm all in. I'm watching. I'm like 12 years old. Watching every game. I'm all into it. And I'm like, yeah, this is our year. This is our year. And Randy Cross, I'll never forget this, said that Super Bowl ring is going right here. I said, no, it's not. It's not going there. It's going on Bengals. We're going to win.
Right.
34 seconds away from it. I'm like, oh my God. Like I've told this story before. After John Taylor catches the touchdown, me and my buddies, we go up to our room. And I'll admit, I was crying. I was 12 years old. I was bawling my eyes out. I got so mad I punched 2 holes in my closet wall at the house, which they still might be there. My parents don't live in that house anymore, but the hole still might be there. So that's me. That's my Bengals fandom. I'm older now. I'm 46 years old, so I don't punch holes in walls. Thank you, buddy. And so I'm a little calmer about it sometimes, but just from what I've went through my entire life, as far as being a Bengals fan. And I hate to bring this up, but the last playoff game against the Squealers, I'm speaking this into existence. When we win the Super Bowl, it's going to be freaking pandemonia here in Cincinnati. Everybody's going to be absolutely freaking nuts. It's going to be so much fun. I cannot wait till that happens.
I had this conversation with John Sheeran earlier today. I don't know if and when the Bengals make the Super Bowl next, I don't know how I would watch it. I don't know if I'd want to just be like totally reclusive and sitting by myself. I don't know if I want to have a big party. I don't know if I want to do something in between. Probably got to do a little bit of work, covering them at some point. Right. But it's kind of like, oh man, how do you? I don't. It's just I don't know.
Well, in my head, like let's just say it happens this year. In my head, I at least want to go out to California. I might not get tickets, but I at least want to be there. I might be at a bar watching it or something. Which, if they win, it'll be so much fun. If they lose, it'll suck so bad. but that's kind of where I don't know. I'm all in. I will go and do that, and who knows what'll happen. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But hey, the Orange Arrow wanted me to promote this, and it's his fantasy league, which you were in last year.
Oh yeah, yep.
And I have done fantasy football once, and back then my son was playing travel hockey, and I didn't have time, and sometimes I didn't set my team. Actually, I set my team once, and that was the week I won. So I kept forgetting. I was a terrible fantasy football person. But this year, I keep saying I'm trying to get everybody to get in it because proceeds go to the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Foundation. I'm planning on dominating, so I'm just letting you know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh wow! Well, yeah, you're there's just no no gentleness about it. You're just coming in swinging, huh?
Right? Yeah, I'm just going swinging.
Well, I did not do very well in that.
I probably won't either.
League. Yeah, I did not do very well in that league last year. Unfortunately, I had kind of an issue that you were talking about where it's kind of like, oh man, my fantasy football lineups kind of went by the wayside a little bit, but it's cool. Like, doing that for the purpose of what he's, like you said, it's benefiting Joe Burrow's Hunger Relief Fund. So yeah, win or lose, it's going to be a good time, but you're coming in confident. I like it.
Oh, I'm confident that's also tongue in cheek too. I'm kind of like, yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm just trying to talk crap on here to get everybody going. Oh, I can beat that guy. I'm gonna go join. So like, come on. It's kind of like a reverse psychology. I'm trying to help out my buddy, the Arrow out there, to try to get as many people in there as we can. So we'll see what happens. Then, oh, by the way, have you seen my shirt? I got this today, or not? I got this a couple days ago.
I saw you, on your promo video. I think I saw it. Did you have that made? Who did that for you?
Actually, Ken Riley, the second. This is a shirt he had made for his dad, and he actually
nice.
sent it to me. So I'll be wearing it tomorrow. I know you probably can't see it, but it says the Bengals Rattler, a rare breed. So
I like
Ken
that.
Riley on there. And I think it's got all the teams that he intercepted. I think on the back of the shirt.
Nice.
So yeah. So
cool.
if you guys are going to the Jungle of the Hall tomorrow, you'll be able to get to see the whole shirt, the whole entourage. So
there you go. How far is that trek for you?
It's about 4.5 hours. I'm gonna leave probably because I want to go up to try to get there to the Matson High School. I want to go check that out because you get to go tour the football facility there, get on the field. I think we get to go in the locker room, and you can see the Paul Brown statue and stuff. So it'd just be kind of cool to go. It starts at 10, so we're gonna try to get up there as close to 10 o'clock as we can. So nice. I'm picking my dad up probably about 5:30 and heading up there. So it's gonna be a long drive. I know Bengal Jim and those guys are already heading up there. So
yeah.
But I stayed here to hang out with you.
Well, I appreciate it. Hopefully I didn't.
You're great.
Screw the plans up.
No, you're perfectly fine. And just to let everybody know, you are doing better with your arm. I wouldn't show it. It looks a little gross, but you are doing a little better.
Better's a relative term. I mean, the pain has subsided, but yeah, just kind of a freak deal. We were talking about it before we took the air. Not used to having some of that, some of the injury stuff. So just a freak deal.
Unfortunately, that's what happens when we get older.
I know. I'm getting on the backside to 40, man, and it's just kind of like, oh god, the bod's falling apart.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like people like, oh, they're like, oh, do you still play basketball? And I'm like, no, I play cornhole. that's more my level. It's competition, but I don't get hurt. Like, if I have to run or do anything, my knees start hurting, my ankles start hurting. I'm like, no, I'm good. Cornhole, I'm good at, and it's a tailgate thing. So we'll get to do that at Bengal Jim's tailgate this year. Are you planning on coming to Cincinnati for a game this year or anything?
I am. Which one I'm not sure, or which ones I'm not sure. I've kind of circled the Packers game. I've got a good friend who I went to high school with out here, and he's now actually a physician out in the Wisconsin Green Bay area, and his wife is from there, and so he's kind of been a transformed Packers fan, and that's not too far of a jaunt for him, so we may meet up out there. I don't know. Also talking about going to Vegas for the Raiders game. That's closer for you too. That is closer, yeah. So I'm thinking about going to that one, maybe the Denver game in Denver, because that's a little closer for me too. But there are a couple of others for the Bengals out in Cincinnati. I really want to get out there this year. Really want to try and get out there. Like I said, it's been, I guess like 5 years since I've been out there. So,
well, if you come, definitely hit me up, and we'll tailgate and have a couple beers before the game. We go watch the Bengals kick some ass.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. I want to meet as many people as possible. So, yeah, for sure, I will hit you up.
That's awesome. Now, see, my wife. Now, look. Let's see. She's actually watching from Florida now.
Oh, there you go.
I'm very happy. So hopefully, they should have this should be on your phone at Sharks, and everybody should be just watching me, not watching the TVs, watching me. Oh my goodness!
Up on the screens. There you go.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Dalton Signature Scott. He said, "Can I get a shout out?" Oh yeah, shout out on his Tyler Boyd poster giveaway. It's on his Twitter. Yes, absolutely. It's an awesome poster that he's put together, and it's on his Dalton Signature's Twitter page. Go check it out, and he's giving it away. So all the details. I just saw that right before we went on the air, so I don't know all the details. so everybody go check out his Twitter page, and you can see how to get his Tyler Boyd poster. And he's done some work for you guys, hasn't he?
Yeah, he updated our logo for us. So we had a logo that we were using for a couple of years, and I just kind of was like, we need a fresh look, and the dude killed it for us. So if I would highly recommend, if you need graphic design work done, if you need a Bengals wallpaper made or something like that, hit him up. He does awesome work, and he's a great guy. I actually had the pleasure of I met him in Bengal Gym in Seattle a couple of years ago. Yeah. God, that was a fun weekend, man. They were very, very nice guys, and we kind of hung out at this restaurant and bar before the game, and great guys.
That's cool. Now, Matty Myers, he's the guy who started this whole Jackpot Joey thing. I don't know if you've heard about it. Yeah. And he wants to know if you want a hat. He will send you a Jackpot Joey hat, like the one I'm wearing.
Yeah, I'll take it. I love wearing hats. So I thought, see, this is I get so jaded, Jeff, because on my show, every time everybody hates that I rock the flat bills on a lot of my hats. Right. I do have some curved bills, but everybody makes fun. I see immediately. I was like, is Matthew giving me hell about my flat bill? And instead of the nice guys offering me a hat. Yeah. And I will take one. Have him hit me up, or I'll hit him up for give him an address. I'll happily pay him whatever he needs. But
DM on Twitter. See, mine. This is about as flat as mine get. I got to have a little bit of a bend. I got some that I've cranked down. Like back in the '90s, that's how I wore my hat. We bent the crap out of the bill, and now my son will wear them, and it's looking like this, like. Dude, I can't do that. I don't have the hair for it. It looks a little weird, so I can't do that. But
what do you make of the team calling it quits? Well, not quits, but cutting practices short.
Actually, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. That's on my list of things to talk to you about. I'm okay with it. I mean, it would have been cool if they would have practiced in their. Well, it really would have been only like one other day, because I don't even think the last day they really had done a whole lot. But they were there for 3 weeks? Mm-hmm. They're like, I think they're the only team that had every single player at voluntary workouts. And I also think that he cut it short because he's trying to get to the 85%, I think it is. They have to be for vaccinated players to have in-person meetings and just a regular training camp. So all that rolled into one. I'm okay with it. I don't think it's that big of a deal, especially since they've practiced, so much. What do you think about it?
I think the vaccination thing is part of it. I think maybe the Adeniji injury, they wouldn't admit it, but maybe that plays a little. I mean, you got to figure these guys. I mean, God, Zach. I know we've hammered him, or I've hammered him in terms of the lack of wins, but really, I mean, if you think about it, first year drafts his franchise left tackle, gets hurt before he even makes it to training camp, right? Was that the same year? I'm trying to remember. Was that the same year? Yeah, it was the same year that AJ Green, he lost him first training camp, right?
Did that
was 19?
Yeah, was Zach here when they drafted?
Yeah, it was his first year. He lost both. And then he lost to AJ.
Yep.
And he loses Joey last year. I think he's probably just like, I don't. We saw enough. These guys all showed up. The attendance level was, basically 100% throughout all these practices. Let's not risk anything else. And the message, I think, his message to him, I guess, was something to the effect of, we saw enough from you guys. Go take care of what you need to take care of. You showed us enough. And I'm okay with that. I guess I would have liked to seen a little more work selfishly, but I also do not want the injury situation.
Right. Exactly. Like Matty says here, let's give Zach a chance with a healthy squad. That would be nice. That'd be real nice. Now, I have a question now that, to me, now, I don't know if you've seen that. I'm kind of out there with some of my predictions and some of my stuff, but I've said that my prediction is the Bengals have a chance of going 11-6. That's what I've said. Mm-hmm. So for me, for that to happen, I think the offense is going to be good. I'm not really worried about. I think they're going to be great. Honestly, I'm not really worried about the offense. For me to get anywhere close to 11-6 or 10-6, or 10-7, I get that extra week. I think the defense has got to make vast improvements. And it's not even to where they have to be a dominant defense. They have to be an adequate defense. What are your thoughts on the guys they brought in? Are they more to what Lou is trying to do is what I think they are. But what are your thoughts on all that?
I agree with you on. I don't know if I see 11 wins personally. I think a lot of things have to go right. Here's my thing. Let me start there.
Yeah,
I think 11 wins could be achievable because I do think there's more talent on this team than a lot of people give them credit for. However, I'm hesitant to. Oh, is that your win-loss prediction there? Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I'm hesitant to go double-digit wins only because of how talented the rest of the division is. And yes, that even includes the Steelers. I'm not counting the Steelers out until they flat out show me that they are a terrible team because Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record ever.
I actually have a split with the Squealers. So I
do too.
I got split with everybody, to be honest.
I do. I think I had them going maybe 2-4 in the division, maybe 3-3, but so that's what makes me hesitant to say double-digit wins is just the overall talent in their own division that they got to face. But I do think 9-8 is achievable. I think if they're in the conversation late in the season about a wild card berth, that sort of thing, I think we'd all be pretty stoked on that. But absolutely. But to your other point about the defense, I think you need to have them be like kind of if they're like top half of the league in all these statistical areas that they've been miserable in some of these areas, forcing turnovers, creating sacks, all of these things. They've been like 28th and lower basically in all of these areas. If you're like 16th, if you're 18th, if you're 14th, if you're up there, this is a completely different looking football team at that point. So I'm in total agreement with you. And I think the guys they brought in free agency over the past couple of years are hopefully the guys that, that fit Lou's mold. But I think also what they've done in the secondary, they lost William Jackson, but they have loaded up in the secondary with a lot of, kind of B-graded players, maybe C-graded players. And that's okay because they do not want to be in the position that they have been in the last couple of years where you got BW Webb as a starting quarterback, your 1 or 2 cornerback. You got LaShawn Sims starting games, that sort of thing. They've now got guys, Eli Apple is not, a high caliber starting cornerback, but if he's your number 4 or 5 cornerback at this point in time, and God forbid you have another Wayne's injury or whatever, you're a little more comfortable with an Apple getting starts than, some of these other guys we've seen over the past couple of years. So I think they're in a better position to withstand injuries on that side of the ball, which is a good thing.
All right. Well, I'll kind of explain my thought process here. I think the way they set the schedule up is, yes, it's a tough schedule, but the way they set it up for the Bengals, I think it helps them because, Minnesota, if we get past Minnesota, that's going to be a big test for us to get past them, to be honest. But I do think we have a more talented offense, and I do think we have a better quarterback. So and it's a home game, first full capacity, hopefully full capacity. Hopefully it's sold out. With Joe Burrow there, so I think that is going to help them hopefully get over the hump to get the first win. And then you got the Bears. They're either going to have Andy Dalton or they're going to have Justin Fields. Right there, I think we have obviously a better quarterback in either situation. Bears don't have much of an offense. Their defense is pretty good. It's still not as good as it was a couple years ago. So I do think that is a winnable game. Now, I do have us losing to the Squealers because it's a home game for the Squealers. And it's always hard to beat them. It's a divisional rivalry. It's hard. So then I got Jacksonville. I think we're going to beat them. I think that's Thursday night. Joe Burrow is going to go against, Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer, who, basically didn't play him. So he wants to prove him wrong. So I think this is a prove it game for him.
That'll be a fun one to watch, I think. I think that's just going to be a fun game to watch.
That'll be a blast, I think. I think it'll be a lot of fun. Then you got Green Bay. And that one's kind of like if Aaron Rodgers is there, it might be hard. I think it's going to be harder for us to win. But the Bengals have actually done pretty good against Aaron Rodgers in his career. But I picked that as a loss. And then you got the Detroit. So that's what, 1, 2, 3. That's 4-2 to start the season. If you can get off to a 4-2 start, the rest of the season can kind of fall into place, except for the part that scares me is the back end. You got the Chargers, Sucky Niners, Denver, Ratbirds, Chiefs, and Clowns. I got nicknames for everybody.
Sucky Niners. I never heard that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, well, that's because they beat us twice in the Super Bowl, so I call them the Sucky Niners. But that's the part that worries me. The middle isn't. It's tough. It's more of our league games, our division games. So, those can go toss up. But if we can get some good wins out of those, it's the end of the season that is really worrying me as far as my prediction.
You have them beating the Chiefs.
I do have them beating the Chiefs.
Wow.
But I also had them losing to the Raiders, and everybody's like, why do you have to beat the Chiefs? I'm like, okay, because it's so hard. I honestly don't know if we can beat. I hope we can beat all these guys at the end, but I really don't know if we can. So I had to pick somebody. So I just picked them. It was just, because the Chargers are going to be a hard one. The 49ers will be hard. Denver, they're all going to be hard.
That last stretch, like you said, though, you got Steelers, Chargers, 49ers, at Denver, home for Baltimore, home for Kansas City, and then at Cleveland. That's a rough stretch.
Right.
And then there's a kind of a tricky stretch here that could be a little treacherous for them too. You've got, that Jacksonville game, I think, that's still a team that's building, but, that could be a tricky one just because of the short week deal. Mm-hmm. But they're at home. So I like that. They're at home on a short week. You got to like that. Right. But then you've got Green Bay. You got 3 road games in a row there. Detroit, right. Baltimore, Jets. Now Detroit and Jets seem very beatable, but that's always tough. And then you've got Cleveland. Then you got the bye week. So that's kind of a rough little stretch there that not a lot of people are focusing on. I do like the start of the schedule a little bit. I guess the first 4 games kind of is like, well, that's okay. The only thing that kind of makes that 6-game stretch or 5-game stretch, I suppose, of Green Bay, Detroit, Baltimore, Jets, and Cleveland is the fact that you've got, the Jets and Detroit, who I don't think, will be very good there. But
they're also road games, and
right.
winning on the road. I don't care what team you're playing. Winning on the road in the NFL is hard. It just is. And like I say, I always look at everything through orange sunglasses. So I'm probably gonna be wrong, but who cares?
No, it's possible.
If I'm wrong, whatever. I ain't worried.
It's possible. It's possible.
I've already gotten blown up on Twitter about it. There's a Indianapolis Colt fan that retweeted with a quote and said, "Wow, Bengals Twitter is unbelievable." I'm like, what? Okay.
Cool.
It could happen. You never know. We'll have to see. All right, man. It's about 6:30. You've given me an hour. I appreciate you. Tell everybody where they can follow you, find you, your podcast, articles, all that stuff, Anthony.
Articles are on cincyjungle.com. The podcast is there. It's also it's called the Orange and Black Insider, and it is on. We have our own YouTube channel. It's on the Cincy Jungle podcast channel. Is on all of your favorite audio streamers: iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all that stuff. So if you'd rather listen to the audio, we've got that. And then I'm on Twitter at CJ Anthony CUI, and of course the podcast is at Bengals OBI. So a lot of different ways to check out what we're doing.
Because you got, not only do you have you guys, you got Ace and Zim on there. You also got Matt Minchkin, which is he doing a weekly one now? Because I know he kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, he's. I think he's expecting his first little one coming the way here, so I think he is focusing on that a little bit. But he's been putting out some video content on some of the draft picks that the Bengals have grabbed and other stuff. He's a great follow too. He breaks down film and he's a great follow. But I think he was doing some coaching that kind of was a last minute opportunity in the spring because football came back in the spring for high schools and youth sports and stuff.
Right.
So I think he did a little bit of that. I don't want to speak for him, but I think there was a little bit of that, and then I know he's expecting a little one on the way here. So I think he's kind of got his hands full with some things, but he is putting out some content as well.
Yeah, he's a great follow, and I had him on the show too. So I've had all you guys on the show. So I
appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys coming on. You guys don't have to do this for me. I'm just a fan with a YouTube channel and a podcast, so I appreciate when you guys come on, and you guys are awesome. So Anthony, take care of your arm. Just remember, you're getting older. You can't do as much stuff as you used to, okay?
I don't want to admit that. I don't accept that.
I do not accept it. All right, brother. Well, you take it easy, and who day?
Yeah. Have a safe travels, man.
Thanks, brother.
And good Father's Day, too.
Thank you. Yeah, my Father's Day. None of my kids are going to be here, but I'll be hanging out with my dad, so,
All right. Cool. Well, have fun.
Man. Take it easy. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Having Anthony on the show is always a blast. I know Jeremy is quite upset he couldn't be on because he likes coming on the show. And I had a bet I didn't tell Anthony this. And Anthony, if you're still there, if you still hear me, I had a bet with Jeremy of how long it was going to take Jeremy to crack you up. but he wasn't able to get on the show because Jeremy usually says something silly and just the show goes off the rails. So, so we missed that. So next time, Anthony, you got to come on because you got to fight for me, man. You got to not laugh at Jeremy because he's not that funny. Okay, just kidding. But anyway, let me get to the Facebook groups that let me live stream, and I appreciate every single one of them. They are Houday Nation, Cincinnati Bengals, the Jungle, Bengals Nation, Bengals Houday Nation, Bearcat Country, the Ohio State Bucknuts, the Ice Bar, and you can follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Sports with Strawberry Ice, all on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Twitter handle is Jeff A. Trenopole. That's TRENNEPOHL. I'm also on TikTok. That's handle there is at Iceman90. I'll be pulling a sound off later on tonight. And you guys can, if you don't want to watch me and Anthony talk for an hour, you can listen to us. It'll be on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify. I think it's on Stitcher as well, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. YouTubers, like I said, we're at 1,135 subscribers. That is awesome. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Let's keep it rolling. And I'm leaving tomorrow to head up to Canton for the Jungle to the Hall. Then I'm driving back that night. Then Sunday, I'm hanging out with my dad for Father's Day. Then I'm heading to Florida. So I might do a show from Florida. My mother-in-law wants me to do a show from Skyline Chili in Florida, and she wants to promote it. Strawberry Ice will be here. God love her, but I don't think anybody in Florida other than my family down there knows who I am. So if I do a show, it might be from Skyline. You never know. We'll see what happens. So make sure you subscribe because if I do a show next week, when it comes on, you'll be notified. But other than that, as my friend Jeremy, sometimes known as Dimebag D's, not going to say that part, Dean would say, remember one thing and one thing only, and that is you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati, so act like it. Houday, let's go to Canton. Let's rock that place out. Fill it up with orange and black. Get Ken Riley, get Ken Anderson into the freaking Pro Football Hall of Fame. And other than that, that's just sports, baby. See ya! The show's about to start. Are